So I think I'm starting a one.
Well, hello everyone out there, and welcome to another one of our demonstrations at Andrea Fisher Fine Pottery. I'm here today with Dusty Naranjo from Santa Clara Pueblo.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going, Dusty?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good.
Hi,
so you've been here hour and a half so far already today. And what have you been working on?
So what I'm working on is a small piece. You can see it's starting to take shape. Essentially what I call a pinch pot. And so I just kind of started from a ball of clay. But I have my materials together. But what I'm doing is I'm just starting to kind of bring in the top of the piece. So you can see the shape kind of coming together. So that's what I'm working on.
Oh, cool. So we were talking about where you work this morning.
Yep.
Do you have a studio?
I don't have a studio. I work on my kitchen table, which is kind of like this. So I kind of move all my dinner and lunch aside, and then I just kind of work like I'm doing now. So it's really informal. I've never really had a studio, so I don't know. It's always worked for me. So yeah.
And how did you learn how to make pots?
So I learned how to make pots from my mother, Bernice Suazo Naranjo. She's originally from Taos Pueblo, but she taught her. My dad is from Santa Clara, so she taught herself how to do the process. She began with micaceous pieces, and then she taught herself how to do Santa Clara polished pieces. So I learned from her, and I was just telling somebody that just stopped by that I started when I was in graduate school. And I'm not sure why I started in graduate school, but I pretty much, I know, right? I pretty much just asked my mom, how do you start this process of making pottery? So that's how I started.
Cool. And was there a lot of watching involved in watching your mom do it?
There was a lot of watching and trial and error. Yeah. It kind of has to be that way. It's something that, I had to experiment with, meaning that I had to just try it out and watch Mom. Since she had taught herself the process of polishing and the process of sgraffito work, she was pretty much the one that I kind of watched. But I kind of always did that because I, when I was growing up, then my mom was going to school, and she was in her early 30s, I think. And when I was 5 years old, I used to go to my mom's art classes. So it was maybe something that I kind of did naturally, just sit with Mom and whatever Mom was doing, if it was photography or going into the dark room, I just kind of sat with her and just took on that process and watched her. Learned by watching.
Yeah, I think that's how a lot of Native Americans learn.
Yeah.
So, she brought you a whole pack of paper towels.
She did.
In case.
I know, just in case. Just in case. Thank you.
So what's your favorite part about making pots?
Okay, so this is my favorite. Well, this is my second favorite part. My favorite part is designing. I love the process of looking at a piece and then just imagining what I can do on it, and I'm thinking, wow, this would be really cool, because it would have I could have a horse on there or a fish. So I just love that process, and it becomes almost meditative for me. So I really, really enjoy it. This is the second favorite part of it. Is making the piece. So as you can see, I get kind of immersed in it, but I really like to do it when I'm watching TV.
Oh, what do you like to watch while you're making it?
Oh no, you would get into that.
Oh, we won't? Okay, that's fine.
No, I like to watch, let's see, I'll watch usually things like Real Housewives.
Oh, so
Don't judge me.
Oh, I'm not going to. Something
Don't judge
fun.
me. Something fun, but
Yeah.
then I'll also watch a series, or I can watch movies that I've seen where I can just kind of like attend to this. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the pottery.
And then pottery. So what's your least favorite part about making pots?
Sanding.
Sanding. That's almost universal.
Yeah. Really?
Really, almost everybody says that they hate the sanding part of it. I wonder why too, but
I don't know. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I don't know why.
But it's dusty, it's dirty,
Yeah.
you have to clean your kitchen afterwards.
Yeah.
Do you do it outside?
I do it outside, yeah.
Do you save your sandings?
I do. I save the sandings because those are, you can make a lot of, off the shavings, you can make a lot of pieces off of those. So, yeah, save the sandings.
Cool. So the clay that you've gotten here, you actually went out and mined it?
Yes, we harvest our own clay. So I live in Espanola, well, Santa Clara Pueblo, next to Santa Clara Pueblo. So we harvest our own clay, and this is, I'll show you what it looks like. This is what it looks like, raw clay. It's really cool because it looks like, I'll show you what it looks like here. This is what. So when it's found, it looks like this. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, it's showing right on the camera right now, right where
so
you
it looks, it looks really cool because it looks like a Hershey's chocolate bar, but you can see how it's almost got a silkiness to it. If you run your finger over it, it's so we get our own clay, and so we'll soak this clay for about maybe 3 to 5 days, and then we will sift the clay to get all the impurities out. So that's what the raw clay looks like, and then we will mix the clay with volcanic ash. So we get that from around Santa Clara too. This is what the volcanic ash looks like.
Yeah, and you mix that in?
We mix that in together.
And
Yep.
what's the purpose of the volcanic ash?
So it's kind of like making a cake. So you add like, I don't know, what do you do? Flour, salt, kind of like that. So it's kind of like a tempering agent for the clay. And so we also will get this, and then we also will sift it too as well. Sift the impurities out. So that'll be really good to, so we get that. It'll be really good to kind of mix it together. So we do that, and then we can, once we have about a week into it, what'll happen is that it'll look like, just like this. And so you can see after mixing it together that we have clay that is ready to use.
Do you have to filter it or process it?
Yeah,
in any way?
we have to sift it.
Okay.
We have to sift the volcanic ash, and we also have to sift the clay.
So is there a grinding process with the clay too?
Yeah, there is. So, and then also what we're going to do is that you can see me, before I start making a piece, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work the air bubbles out. So this is really good clay. It's really, you need it to be a little bit pliable, but not too dry, and it'll hold its shape. So that's what the clay looks like when it's ready to work on. And so I don't use any kind of wheel except for a simple, I don't know how to use a wheel. Like a ceramic wheel?
Yep. I don't know how either.
I don't know how either.
Well, I've tried. I just suck at it.
Right.
But I also suck at making pots in general. So
right.
It takes years and years and years of
Yeah.
practice. So my question is, you're obviously making a pot right now.
Yep.
Do you have an idea of how you're going to design it, or what shape it's going to become, or do you kind of like let the clay tell you a little bit about what it's going to do, or how does that process kind of work in your head?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think, sometimes, like with the, it kind of happens two ways. Like with the pieces that kind of happen all of a sudden, like this one, this is kind of a natural shape that happens for me. As you can see, this is what the pot looks like after about a week of being dry, but I kind of gravitate towards this shape. So you can see it's got like a narrow bottom and top, and then it's got closed in and it's got shoulders. But I also have pieces that I dream about.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. That I think about. And I'm like, I want to create this piece that's a bigger piece, that's more traditional in shape, or I've created double lobe pieces where it kind of comes in and then it comes in again, and with a long neck, which I think I want to do again. So I'm kind of sitting with these pieces like they need to be created. So I think about pieces too, shapes of pieces. So it's an interesting process because what you think about, you can create, and you just imagine it. So it kind of happens both ways for me. So you can see.
And all the animals that you do on your pieces, is that you're a big fan of animals?
I am a big fan of animals. My favorite to do is honestly horses. I love horses. They just, any kind of shaped pot, any kind of form, they lend themselves to movement of the pot. So I love those. I love doing trout, one of the more popular designs that I do. And let's see, what else do I do? Bees. I love bees too. Always adding bees, dragonflies.
And I know that you kind of grew up in the mountains of northern New Mexico, and there's a bunch of these animals that are around. Did you have horses when you were young?
We did have horses. Yeah, we had horses, and I like to spend a lot of time outdoors, so I kind of gravitate towards animals, I guess.
Yeah, I'd like to spend a lot of time outdoors too, so
Yeah.
I completely understand.
Yeah.
And by the way, your earrings are awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks. My one of my favorites is the art of Northwest Coast, of course. So, yeah, living up in Alaska and in the mountains of northern New Mexico, and then Alaska, get to do a lot of fishing and high desert fishing, I guess, up here, but mountain fishing, stream fishing, love it. So I kind of gravitate towards those animals.
Hi, how's it going? If you have any questions, don't hesitate. We are filming, but we are friendly.
I am using traditional Santa Clara clay.
So did you dig it yourself?
I did. Wow. Yeah. I was just talking about the process of harvesting clay, what it looks like when it's raw. I'll show you when because it's really kind of cool, right? Because nobody knows what it looks like. So this is what it looks like. It's and so this is the clay after a few days of drying. And what's going to happen is that we take buckets. This is a very traditional process of pottery. So we get buckets, and you can imagine this. We're going to soak it for about 3 or 4 days. And then what I'll do is I'll get a strainer and I'll hand strain it, get the impurities out. So I let the water recede after about another 3 or 4 days. And then what I'll do is I add this tempering agent, which is volcanic ash. And I get this around.
That stabilizes it.
Yeah.
It's a grit type of thing.
Exactly. This is all from where I live, in Santa Clara. Yeah, so you find this in chunks kind of like this, but if we're able to, we prefer it to be a little bit more like sand, right? It kind of looks like baby powder, but this has been strained, as you can see if you want to. It's essentially volcanic ash that's been strained.
Oh, it is gritty though.
Yeah, it is gritty. It's gritty. So what's going to happen is that I get this, right, and I'm pulling out, my family's pulling out buckets of volcanic ash. Oh, yeah.
Yep, there you go. Thanks.
You good?
Yeah,
Okay,
better.
so
Now you're not on the screen.
So,
No worries.
so strain this, and then what you're going to do is that I'm going to add the raw clay and the volcanic ash together, and then it'll be ready to be laid out to this consistency. And if you want to touch what it feels like, the clay, you can see what it looks like, feels like to you. And you can just imagine what.
It's delicious.
Isn't it amazing?
And actually, speaking of delicious, some people actually eat a lot of clay. Quite a few potters actually eat clay.
I do clay sculpture, and I'll lick it to attach
Do you?
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right? Yeah, it's just amazing, isn't it? It feels so good. Do you use natural clay or do you
I haven't
commercial
dug
clay?
my own, but I really want to.
You totally can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite fractious. It's like I make clothes. So this is like working with fabric that you have to be mindful of.
Yeah, you have to be mindful of it, right? You do. So just imagine, so you're going to hold that, and then if you want to, and then what I have here is just some water, and what I do is pretty much what I'm doing here, but I clean my fingers all the time, right? Because you don't even need your eyes, because what you're going to do is begin to start to form. You get enough clay, and then you're going to form a ball, a simple ball, and this is how this little pinch pot was made, right? And you're going to just do this, and you're going to roll it in your hands, and you just use your hands and your fingers as kind of like your eyes, and you can just do this kind of like this process.
The process of making, do you think or do you surrender?
No, you just let it happen, right?
Right.
You just gotta let it happen. You can't think about it too much. Only in the process, I was just telling Derek, he was asking me if I have shapes in mind, and I do, because you're thinking, I have this shape that I want to do, but then also when this happens, you just kind of organically let it happen, right? And you're just, all you're doing is just kind of like you were saying, surrender. It has to be very organic in its way. So you got to leave room and space for that. And you kind of have to be in that space to be able to say, I'm not going to think about it too much, because it kind of stops the process, right? And we don't really have to think about it. But if you just want to do that and you just want to start playing with the clay, then you can bring that piece in.
Is that the
Yeah.
natural colour? It's beautiful colour.
Yeah. So what happens is about 3 or 4 days later, after I make a pot, this one's going to turn this kind of consistency, and you can see it's pretty raw. What this one is ready for is to be sanded. So I'll take it outside with 60 grit sandpaper, and I will refine the shape. And as you can see, my mother has some pieces there, and those 3 over there are my pieces, but you can see the refinement of the shape because they don't look like this. So they're very refined, and you can feel the shape, yeah. And the lip or the top is smooth. And so what will be ready to do next is that you'll get to polish. And this is a natural slip that we get from here in a place called La Bajada Hill. And so it is a very silky,
Must have iron in it, yeah?
I have no idea.
Get that.
It might.
It might.
It
Yeah,
might.
that red color is probably
Yeah,
iron.
yeah.
There's a good chance.
There's a good chance.
It's
And
beautiful, it's like paint.
yeah, it is like paint. And so what you're going to do is you put 3 or 4 layers of slip on there, and then I have a polishing rock, and this is my polishing rock, the only one that I use. And so what I'm going to do is just kind of get the pot and then put 3 or 4 layers, and then I'm just going to,
Buff it up.
yeah, do very high polishing. And you can see all the pieces here, which are just absolutely amazing, because this is a refinement of a process that's very, very old. And so what you're going to do is you can't really have any kind of interruptions or anything that happens, because you got to be attentive to your polishing. So it can't dry, because you'll have marks. So you just kind of do this. And then what you'll do is you'll get this, just a little bit of morel. This is morel lard that you used to cook. Yeah. And it's, you just put like a tiny, tiny bit, even less than that. And then what I'll do is I'll put it on the pot and then continue to polish. So it's ready to polish, and then we take it outside and we fire outside using wood. And so people are fascinated by the color because it's like brown, sienna color. But the more traditional Santa Clara is kind of like the black. That's
Or red.
Red.
Or red.
Red. Yeah. So we don't use manure. We use wood to fire, and so you get variations of color. So yeah, and then it's ready to be designed. And this is what we use. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Oh, you're welcome. Fun.
Yeah, I love this little shape. It's great.
Yeah. See, it's so cool. You can just, Do you use a wheel to use your water?
I coil.
Oh, you coil too?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were talking about how bad we are at using a wheel.
I don't know how to use a wheel.
Yeah, you're either like a hand builder or a thrower.
Yeah.
You're one or the other.
One or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Opposing to, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you're one or the other. Yeah, I don't know how to use a wheel, so I never did that in high school. So I'm kind of like the hand builder. Yeah, so all the pieces, of course, are made like this. Otherwise, they're made off of Pookie base to make the larger pieces, which is just, I have my
It's just
bowl
a
here.
bowl or a
Yeah,
basket or
bowl.
something to start.
Yeah, so I go look for bowls that don't have a very big rim around it, and that just supports the bigger pieces. But all the pieces are built up from coil, of course, from a base to coil. And then I use my fingers so much that I'm rinsing so that I can build the pieces up at the same time, putting the coils together and then smoothing out from the inside to the outside.
Do you build?
No, I definitely don't. I do not have the skill to be able to do this, or the
We've never
patience.
asked you. We've never asked him. I think we need to
Yeah, I think you got
have
to.
them teach him.
Yep. My talent that's a very good question, and it's generally injuring myself. That is generally my best talent.
That's not your talent.
That's not your job.
That's a consequence of my other talents.
Your talents, right? Yeah.
Are you cyclist or something like
Yeah,
that?
I mountain bike and ski.
My husband does that stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
And Dusty's pieces, when they're done, that's what they look like,
Yeah.
these three that are over here. So, yeah, no worries. Thank you so very much, ladies.
Yeah, thank you. So I have the, put that there. I'm making kind of a mess.
Yeah, isn't it fun?
It is. It's really fun.
So you generally do this alone at home, right? And
Yeah,
it's
I
not a
do.
very social thing. Or do you work, is there people you work with? Like
I
your
do.
mom?
I work with, when I get a chance to, I like to work with Mom because it's kind of fun. We just kind of talk about, politics or whatever we need to talk to. And then when if I'm really lucky, then I get to sit with my nephew Jonathan and work. But that's kind of unusual, but it is kind of neat to work all together. Or when we're at a show and we're just kind of talking about the process of pottery. And so I do like working with my mom. But most of the time when I don't get a chance to, if I need to just work on some pieces, I don't mind working on my own because it's kind of a meditative process for me. So you
can see that.
Yeah. And I kind of gravitated toward the same shape. But I'm going to show you what I do.
So you've obviously done a lot of shows like Indian Market and everything else.
Yep.
And you probably get some interesting questions about your pieces. Is there any that come to mind that we can laugh about a little bit?
I don't know if I...
You
I don't want to be rude,
that's fine.
rude,
Don't share
but-
that.
Yeah, don't share. No, but I think that people will... it's funny because they'll look at a piece and then they'll look at my mom's piece and they'll see the very abstract bear, but then they're like, is that a pig? Or is that a... And we're like, no. And then they'll be like, is that your real name? Is that your... So it's kind of interesting what people... But I kind of think it's neat to see what their thought process is.
Yeah, I do too. That's kind of why I was asking. And we get some strange
You do?
questions. Oh
Like
yeah, very
what?
much. So we had somebody over here looking at the Maria case.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And my mom was helping them.
Uh-huh.
And the lady said, hey, I'm looking for some salad bowls. And my mom is, of course, saying, you know, these are Native American, handmade, one-of-a-kind pieces of artwork. They're not functional, yada,
Right.
yada, yada, like the whole yard. And the lady turns to her and says, well, don't Indians eat salad? The answer is you know, like,
Yeah.
we get
do?
lots of course you do. Everybody does.
Wow.
But, you know, it's kind of
Wow.
fun that, you know, we get all kinds of crazy questions, and you know, we do our best to try to answer them to the best of our ability.
Yeah.
But, you know,
I know.
you're at shows, and I'm sure you've had people come pick up your pots, right? And that's scary.
Yes, picking up the pieces are really, it's really hard not to, because I myself, I am very impulsive and tactile, so I want to pick up things that I see too. So it's kind of a natural reaction for people. They're like, oh, I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to touch it. I want to, you know, that's kind of natural. But since the polishing, you know, it's so, I don't want to say refined, but it's just something that we don't like for people to pick up pieces, because, you know, you could be eating fry bread and then it'll be like all over the pieces, and then you know, whatever you got on your hands, even oils or lotions and some things will be picked up by the pot. So, you know, people are, you know, sometimes you'll get people who aren't so, they just do it impulsively, and then they'll be like, oh, well, I'm sorry, I didn't even ask. But yeah, we kind of get that too.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of the very kind of rude "do not touch" signs, but we unfortunately have to have them.
Yeah.
But, you know, it is what it is, and you know, it's a good lesson for people who are out there that, you know, always ask permission before anything that you do.
Right?
And,
Always.
you know, if you ask permission, the worst case scenario is that you get a no, you can't do that. But the best case scenario is oh yeah, that's fine, go for it.
And we'll be
and that's true
more
with
than
anything.
happy to show
you know,
you.
And you know, that's really nice, and everybody is so nice at all these markets. It's always really fun. However, during these markets, it's important to note that if you do come for Santa Fe Indian Market, that it's a very busy time for these artists, and it's an opportunity for them to make the profit effectively for the winter. And so by interjecting with, you know, here's a picture of my stuff, or here's a picture of my collection, or all that other stuff, we've had it where artists have kind of blown people off because of that, because their job that day is to sell things, and that is a distraction from those sort of things. So by all means, show artists your collection or what you have or anything else, but during Indian Market, it's not really the appropriate time to do so.
Right, and it's, you know, like, we understand, and we're there as artists, but it's, you know, we love that part too. We love our collectors. We love our, you know, with those individuals that we have so many of our pieces. We love that part. That's part of the process too. So,
of course.
You know, it's, but like you were saying, it's such a busy time. And then, you know, we just don't want to be rude. But we just want to.
It's really hard sometimes. I've seen it happen where somebody is trying to tell them a story during Indian Market, and somebody else is trying to buy something and they can't pull themselves away.
I know, it's so much fun.
I mean, it's a game that we play, and of course, it's something that, you know, it's part of all of it. And
I hear you.
Most of the time, artists are not that great with dealing with large crowds, because you obviously work at home, usually alone, sometimes with your mom, and so it is. It's not something where a lot of action is happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it is a very, I don't want to say solitary process, but it is a very kind of like inward process, because you're thinking a lot. It can be meditative and almost to the point where you kind of, I don't want to say zone out, but
you kind of do a little bit.
You kind of do.
Yeah.
Right? You kind of do. And so you're in this whole other space, and not to be rude or anything, but that's kind of what happens in the process. And then you're like, oh my gosh, you kind of have to bring yourself out of that. And then you have to remember, you have to describe the process to customers. But it's not just being rude, but you kind of are in this mindful, meditative state. So you get pulled out of it. So that's what happens a lot for me. And you're right. It is solitary, I guess.
Yeah, it's hard with these big crowds. I mean, I struggle with big crowds.
Big crowds are...
They're scary in a lot of ways.
Yeah, the big crowds are good at rock concerts, but pottery,
maybe
not so much. Can we just say that? We'll put that out there.
Yeah, we can put that out there.
Yeah. So what I did was was that I changed the shape of this one, and I made one of my favorites. This is one of my favorite shapes. We call it the doorknob, but it's actually, I guess it's a doorknob.
It does kind of look like
it kind of looks like it, right?
Yeah, it kind of does.
Yeah, see, it looks like a doorknob. So what I did, you saw what I did, but I'll tell you, all I did was just pretty much smash the piece and flatten it. And then what I'm doing is just kind of letting it, see how long it will be before, I don't want to squash it, but I don't also want the cracks on the side of it. So that's what I'm doing, is just kind of tempering it. And the more I do that, see, I really like to work on this kind of like flat-ish surface. So that's what I did, was I just kind of changed the shape of the pot.
So do you have an idea right now about how you're going to design this? What
are
you thinking?
I was thinking, I like the trout. It might be a trout pot.
Oh, cool.
But you know what? I also like birds. I kind of have a bird thing, because I'm kind of like staying in the birds, the bees, the spring things. The foxes were a new thing for me. Not gonna lie. The horses. Yeah.
So lots going through your head right now.
Oh, lots. Lots. So it's a
Do you use anything to care for your hands? I mean, I know clay really dries out people's hands. Like, do you use lotion?
Are we doing an infomercial now?
I guess, yeah. Do you use like lotion or wax, or do you use a little bit of the lard?
No.
Some people do.
Oh, I never thought about that, but yeah.
I've actually heard of some people using the lard and then using the wax, where you dip your hands in the wax.
Yeah.
And that actually really helps with the cracking.
Oh, that's a thing.
Clay.
That's a thing. Yeah, that's really fun. No, I don't really use the lard. What I usually get is the what is it called? Aqua, something like that. Like a really
kind of heavy duty
like
lotion.
A heavy duty lotion, almost a gel. So that works really well. What I have to do is that, since I wash my hands so much, that what I do is I keep my nails pretty short, and they're actually kind of long right now because of that reason, because I might scratch the pot, or like they just don't work well. So I have to put cuticle cream on. So I do that.
Yep. Yeah, you got to take care of your hands.
You got to, because they're money makers.
Yep.
Right.
That's right.
Not gonna lie.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's how I make a living. So you just got to take care of them.
So speaking of making a living, do you have another job besides this?
No, I don't have another job. No, I'm just kidding.
So you're a full-time potter?
No, I wish I was, but I was at one time. But no, I actually do have another job. I work as a behavioral health clinician.
Which we need. Thank you.
Yes. Well, you're welcome. So I've been doing that for, I think, like 10 or more years, off and on. I'm working right now in tribal communities. I moved back from Utah, but I'm licensed both in Alaska and New Mexico as a behavioral health clinician. And I work as a play and art therapist, but I work with all populations. Populations and age groups.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've been doing that for about, like I said, about 10 plus years. I got my master's degree, and so when I'm not doing my day job, then this is what I do in the evening. It's kind of like my own art therapy. So,
Well, it seems like it might be a good relaxing thing to
Yeah.
do after unwinding
Yeah.
with a tough day. And
Yeah.
I'm sure you do have tough days.
yeah, we do have tough days. You know, the work as providing support is both satisfying and, like also have to practice what we preach, meaning that we can experience a lot and along with those individuals that we help. So a lot of times it's just helpful to also bring in this process of art as therapeutic. And so that's kind of what generated this thought in my mind, because originally when I started, I was going towards a more clinical slant of therapy, but I was thinking, I wanted to work with kiddos, less diagnosis and more just really working with them on their level. So I changed tracks to do an art therapy program, and so that's how I became an art therapist, is just from the fact that I wanted to work with kids, which I do now, and I've worked in the past with kiddos, but I can also do this work because of the fact that play is so inherent, but we forget to do it, even as adults. And I am a big promoter of play.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to just play,
Well, it's
even as
healthy.
adults, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Like
healthy to get your energy out
Yeah,
in a positive way.
yeah. I'm sure you know that. You
Oh yeah,
play
I
all
do.
the time.
Yeah, I play in the mountains, so
Play in
yeah.
the mountains.
Yeah.
I love to play in the mountains,
so do
right?
I.
Ski and jump and jump around the creeks and whatever it is, or go
getting
outside.
to choose your own adventure on
It's
where you get to go
awesome.
and what you get to do is great.
Spontaneity is
Yep.
awesome. Yeah, so I am such a big play person that I just want to bring it into every part of my life. And so that's how I became, I wanted to do traditional therapy, but then also when I found the play and art therapy program, then I just thought it was super cool.
Yep. So we do have a nice comment from online from Nadine. Nadine says, I absolutely love your pieces. I have a few.
Oh,
so
hi,
yay for our clients.
Yay for our clients.
You'll keep us being able to do this and keeping us able to play.
I know, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks to Nadine, I get to do this. And then so I incorporate that in all the work that I do, including this. And this is therapeutic, so much that I bring this into my work, especially when I'm working with children from the Pueblos, and even when I was working in Alaska, using the materials around where they live, their own communities. And I do this here back in New Mexico. I've used clay as part of the therapy process. So that's the joy of what I do. And that's always part of it too, is that, you got to bring the joy part of it.
Yeah,
So,
you do.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start another piece. And
Because this is your second favorite part, right?
this is my second favorite part, right? Yeah. So this is fun because I'm making such a mess.
Oh, that's fine. We'll clean it for you.
So yeah, this is the fun part. And as you can see, I don't use a wheel, but I can do this. Let's see if I can do one based off the Pookie. But what I'm doing right now is I'm getting all the air bubbles out. So this is pretty good clay actually, because I haven't heard any popping or anything. So it's actually pretty good. So I'm going to just knead it in my hand, make sure it's not too dry.
So you have to have strong hands for this, I bet.
I think so, yeah. It's not
Don't
like...
need one of those stress balls.
That's true. I know, right? Yeah. I get big forceps. Yeah. I can get Hulk arms. No, I just kind of I get really strong fingers. So.
Yeah, it's a lot of work to be a potter.
I
It's
know.
much more work than most people realize.
Right? Yeah. You don't realize it. It's a full-time job. And it's it's something that you really have to love to do, but it is a lot of work. As you can see, getting your own clay, making pieces, building pieces, firing pieces, designing pieces. It can take, designing process can take anywhere from a day or two to even a week at a time, but the pieces are even larger. So it is
It's a labor
really
of
a
love.
labor of love, right? And we
Yeah.
do this because we love to have our pieces, and we love that our collectors love our pieces. So it's
So what
kind of
we
fits in.
think we do here at the gallery
Yeah.
is we think we are connecting two cultures through an item, through an object. And that's why it's really important that we do what we do, is because
Yeah.
we're actually kind of growing the diversity a little bit, and making people who don't have a much of a connection to this area have a connection to this area. And I really like that.
Yeah. How do you like find a love of pottery more than anything, more than jewelry?
Well, I'll be really perfectly honest.
Yes.
I don't have a collection of anything at home. Because to be fair, I get to come here every day and I have a beautiful collection to stare at, look at, and enjoy. And it can go on to somebody else. And it's constantly changing and being new and different. And that's actually
awesome.
kind of nice at the same
Yeah.
time.
Oh, that's true. It's like your collection is kind of changing
Yeah.
all the time. Yeah.
All the time. It's always new and different.
Yeah,
And,
that's kinda cool.
it's kind of fun to find a home for something that is going to be a wonderful home for it.
Yeah,
You know?
I think that's the great thing about galleries, and your space is so amazing because of that fact, is that you can see such varied work, and it's just impressive. It's just absolutely impressive, even to me as an artist. The work that individuals do from other pueblos is just absolutely stunning. I love it.
And that's actually my favorite part about here,
Yeah.
is that everybody
Everybody,
has
right?
the precise same tools,
Yeah.
right?
Precise same
Like,
tools,
they're
I
the same
know.
tools. It's a scraper.
Yeah.
It's a bucket with some water. It's
Bucket
their
with some water.
It's their hand.
Right.
Something to etch
That's
with,
it.
whether it be
That's it.
an X-Acto blade, or a
Yep.
sharpened sewing machine needle, or a sharpened bicycle spoke, or whatever it is. It's a sharp object,
Right.
And you have a scraper, and you have a few things to carve with, and your favorite tools that might be a bent spoon or a bent knife, or
Right, or old CD.
there you
Remember?
go, exactly.
As a scraper.
Yeah, as a scraper.
Yeah,
But
the
everybody
temperature.
effectively has the same things. And
I know, it's
everybody,
amazing.
every single person produces something so wildly different from the next person that
I
it
know.
really just blows my mind.
It blows my mind too. And I look around here and I'm sitting amongst these beautiful, beautiful pieces, and I'm going, oh my gosh, that's just stunning to look at the painted pieces and the carved pieces that I'm looking at now of, I think it's Dolores. Is that Dolores Curran's work?
Where?
The carved ones? Yeah.
That
Who's
is
that?
Wilma Baca.
Wilma
Bacatosa from
beautiful.
Jimenez. Here, I'm going to go grab one and I'll bring it over.
Oh
okay?
my
Just so
gosh.
you can take a-
It's just stunning. I'm just looking at it, I'm going, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine. Yes, oh my gosh. Look
So
at how
just
gorgeous
so
that
you
is.
guys can see, right? Beautifully etched.
It is stunning. Oh,
Yeah,
oh
you have
my
to really get
gosh.
close to understand.
And what the amazing part is that, like you were saying, it's all the same process. All the same process. And it is absolutely perfect.
Yeah, and so what's crazy about her is that she has to do all of that etching before the firing. She
Wow.
doesn't do it after. And the reason is that Jimenez clay is so hard that it
Yeah.
will just break X-Acto blades
Oh, wow.
after the firing process.
That is
So it
amazing.
has to be done beforehand.
Yeah, and she uses an X-Acto blade too? Stunning. Like this.
Yeah, exactly.
This.
Just exactly that.
This is it.
So
That's it.
you and her kind of do the same
Same thing.
but they are wildly different, which I think is really fun.
And I can't imagine, look at that refinement of it and the preciseness of it. Yeah, and it's just absolutely stunning. The shape.
Again, everybody
stunning.
has the same tools.
I
and
know.
that's the thing that's so
I
amazing
know.
to me.
And I'm looking at it, I'm going, oh my gosh, that is absolutely stunning.
Yep.
Yeah, stunning pieces. And just sitting there with them, you have to think about, oh my gosh, this is absolutely beautiful work that you're sitting here and you get to see every day.
Yeah, every day.
So much fun.
It's really, really, really nice.
It's really neat. It's really cool. Yeah.
And that's kind of why, at the same time, I don't have anything at home.
No.
Because I don't need to.
No, you don't need to. You just come in here and you'll be like, I get my dose. I get to see it. I get to love it. It's cool.
Yeah, we have an interesting comment on here,
Yeah.
which is the time you spend on each piece is the time you'll spend with the recipient
Oh,
of it, which I kind of think is an interesting way of thinking about it.
yeah. Yeah. Should we talk more about that?
Sure, we can.
Okay. So
Let's.
let's talk about.
Well,
Yeah.
if you kind of think about it, right?
Yeah.
Like you put forth all of this effort, and then the piece gets to live with the recipient,
It totally
right?
does. Yeah.
And then that work gets to kind of live on a little bit.
Yeah, I love that. I love that thought because it really is. From the minute that it's, you think about a piece and even the conception of it, and I'm like I was saying, I'm sitting here with pieces that I dream about in my head, shapes, and what I would like to do with them, or next designs, or design with the shape. So I'm sitting with it, and then when I'm at the show, it's all this that came from inside of me, and so it really is like I love the pieces so much that you give, like, I don't want to say give birth to them, but it's like your babies, right?
Yeah, so like
You
a part of
nurture them,
you,
you care for them.
Yeah, and so
Yeah,
like
it's a part of
it's
us.
a part of you that gets to go live with somebody
Exactly.
else.
And I love when people are receptive to, I see joy in their eyes, and even as they look around here in the gallery and they get to see this beautiful, amazing work, because it is always a labor of love. And we love the fact that it goes to homes where it's nurtured and shared and becomes a part of your everyday life. And I have pieces that are handed down to next generation, and then I have people in their teens or 20s, and they're saying, I moved out to go to college, and I'm taking the horse pot with me. And I'm like, wow, that's so cool. And I just love that fact that it's just a part of their everyday life. So that's the great thing about it. So I love that.
Yeah,
I
me
love that
too.
comment.
Yeah, it's a nice comment.
Yeah.
Yep. So you're now pushing your piece kind of into the Pookie and kind of
Yeah.
working it a little bit.
So I'm doing a larger piece. So this is what I was talking about as a Pookie base. And so you can see there's not a lot of rim to it. And so I go around to dollar stores or Goodwill or whatever I can find. I'm always looking out for things. And I don't buy a lot of materials, but what I do buy is bowls. And this one is going to be, it's more an open bowl. And as you can see, I'm going to take it out of the bowl so that I can clean up these kind of like refine this part of it on the bottom.
It's almost like when you lay on the sheets and the sheets are
And they
little
make a mark
wrinkles.
on your face.
yeah, exactly.
Right, yeah. Except without the drool there, we got, So here we go. So, as you can see, you see what it looks like on the inside?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, okay. So it's a little bit thin on the bottom, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some more clay. This is how I make the bigger pieces. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to bring out my super special Kemper tool. So it's really cool the other part of it is that I want you to realize that I think what we buy is the bowl, the Kemper tool, and the X-Acto blades and the glasses.
Yeah, and glasses.
And
Lots
I
of
think
glasses.
lots of glasses. And that is pretty much...
Well, I mean, I've seen gourds be used before,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that with the scrapers to
True.
be made. But I've seen also the edge of a skull can being used as a scraper.
Oh, yeah. If
But
you're,
I mean, you still have to buy a skull.
I thought you were going to say edge of a skull.
No,
And I'm
like
what?
a chewing tobacco.
Yeah.
Like a chewing
Cool.
tobacco can or a
Yep.
shoe polish can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something to be used that works, whatever
I'm telling
works.
you, I've got to love those artists. You know, how creative is that? Yeah, totally. So you don't use a lot of bought materials, which is very cool, too. And like I was saying, you probably can go around where you live and find clay in your area. It's really fun to find, too. So
Might you be able to give some insights what people might be able to look for around?
well, I think, like I was thinking about maybe in a riverbed, and you want to look for in the clay or deposits and stratas that is not too sandy. For us, the strata is maybe about this big, and then
Okay.
sometimes it opens up to like this big. And so you have to dig, and you might have to dig a little bit, but you'll notice that it's really, it's different because it's silky. There's not a lot of sand in there, and that's probably a good thing to look for.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
that might
something
be a
for
start.
People, yeah, it might be something for people to try.
Yeah.
And this is all done through lots and lots and lots of experimentation.
right? Lots and lots of
of failure too,
Right.
right? And you learn from everything that happens.
Yeah, because this is, even though it may be hundreds of years old, it doesn't mean that,
What are you
we
looking
can
for?
still, my Kemper tool. Right, I had a little one. Did I do something with it? I'm
don't
trying to see if it's in the bowl. I might have done
don't
something
think
with
it's
it.
in
I don't think
it's in the
so.
bowl.
I don't know what I did with it. I thought I had another one, but I'll use it, this one. Anyway, so there are times when it's not pretty common, but we have pieces, of course, that can break in the firing. So this is a handmade piece. All these pieces are handmade, right?
Yeah, every single one.
Yeah. So
We do have quite a bit of loss in the firing process.
Firing risky.
How hard is that when you lose a piece after you've spent so many
heartbreaking.
hours into it?
It's heartbreaking. It is really hard not to cry because you're like all of this time, and then all of a sudden you're firing a piece and it really sounds like 4th of July, and it's heartbreaking.
Yep.
Once you hear that,
Yeah, I've heard that pop before. It's pretty awful.
it's pretty awful, right?
Yeah, and I
'Cause
and
your
I didn't
heart
make
breaks.
it, and I
No.
feel terrible.
Right, but right? It's
Yep.
just like, and your heart just falls, and you just sit there, and you're like, I don't know how I'm going to go on with my life. It's just because you're just so sad. It just feels so heartbreaking. But that is part of the process. So we always kind of say that we have to honor that clay. We have to be in a good space to make pieces, meaning that we have to, we have to give blessings and good thoughts when we're making pieces. Sometimes clay just doesn't lend itself to making pieces. I've had days where I just can't form a pot, and other days where I can't polish pieces and it doesn't happen, and then I have to stop and resand pieces because it's just not really a good polish. And then there's other times when I can polish 6 pieces in one day, and I'm kind of like on a roll, or I'm in this kind of zone, and so it feels really good to me. And sometimes I just can't make a piece. So it all happens, and I think that part of the process is just it can be really heartbreaking, but then understanding that that is part of the process too. That we will have pieces that break in the firing. We will have pieces that won't be made. So we just kind of let it happen.
What do you do with the pieces that don't make it?
If they're fired, then if they're not too high fire, then I can re-soak them. Or if they start to, let's say if this piece was starting to crack, then I can re-soak it. And that's a really cool thing, is that I can, it probably doesn't have enough volcanic ash in it, so that I'll just remix the clay again. Yeah, and I'll just soak it and then just kind of turn it back into clay. So that's the cool thing. That's the cool thing when that's kind of drying. But sometimes you'll have pieces that break in the firing, and then we just kind of let them go back to the earth. So that'll happen too. So as you can see the inside of the piece. And so I'm just using my fingers, because I have to wash my fingers so many times and wipe them down so that they're essentially clean, because I use them like my eyes, kind of like my eyes. So I'm just gauging the thickness of it. I don't want it to be too thick. And if I need to, I'll just kind of add a little bit of water to the Kemper tool and then smooth out the inside of it. So that's what I'm doing now. And then making sure there's no seams, and then I'm going to be ready to add coils. And then if I want to, I can bring out the piece a little bit more so that it's a little bit wider, kind of like this. And I'm holding and supporting the outside of it with my other hand. So, kind of like that. I don't want to bring it too far out.
And you also have to let it dry a little bit before you add the next coil, or no, right
actually,
away?
Yeah, I can just do that right away. So I can start building a piece. If I'm just going to do, let's say, if I put it, maybe if I start bringing it out and it's got, if I want to add a little bit more shoulder to it, then it will have to dry, but not like a long time.
Not fully, just enough so that it's a little thicker and a little stronger.
Yeah. So it'll be a little stronger, and then what I can do is add some shoulders to it, something like that. So it will have to dry. Sometimes what's really good for making sculptural pieces is Taos clay. Santa Clara is really good for, I love to make kind of more traditional bowls. So I will, if I want to add, kind of like bring it up, that's what I'm thinking, and then add shoulders to it, like right here, then it will have to sit. And I'll just cover it with a little plastic and then leave it for maybe a few hours, or maybe half a day.
Well, I know some people use their kitchen cabinets to dry their pieces because it keeps it dark and keeps the drying somewhat uniform.
In the cabinets?
In the actual cabinets
That's
themselves.
a good idea. Try that. Yeah.
Like I said, every day I learn new things every time I do one of these.
Yeah, you're like practically a potter.
Yeah, practically. Except I'm no good at the hard part.
Right.
I can explain everything.
You can explain it, but but the actual making of it.
Yep. Yeah, no go for me.
No go. Yeah, you just
I
never
tried
know.
painting one once.
Oh.
And it looks like a 5-year-old did it, maybe a 4-year-old.
Really? Yeah, really avant-garde.
Yeah,
Yeah, really abstract. Yeah. I know. It's like, it's something that I know everybody says, oh, I'm not a good artist, or I'm not a good painter. It's like, really? I don't know. Where we had to, like we kind of edit ourselves, But yeah, I get what you mean. So this is what I'm going to do, is that since I'm going to continue to build the piece up, I'm trying to, I can see it in my head. So I like the more traditional shapes. And then what I like to do also is that,
All right, it seems like it's gotten itself back together.
Oh.
Anyway, we've actually been broadcasting for over an hour at this point, if you can believe that. I know, right?
I can't
It goes
believe
so
it.
freaking fast. But anyways, I think we should probably end the YouTube portion of this. And we're going to continue here in the gallery with Dusty. It's been an absolute
Sounds
pleasure
great.
sharing some coiling and some building and a whole bunch of info about pottery making with Dusty.
Yes.
And we thank you for being here, Dusty, and thank you for everything that you do for us, and appreciate everything that happens. That we work together as a good team.
Yes.
I think.
I think so too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Dusty. We appreciate you being here. And until next time, everybody out there, we'll see you later.
Bye, everybody.